Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, not always told I had a voice radio, so today I am showing you a very fun expanded format deck, which I am definitely going to start testing soon on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/PTCGRadio, and as I have been confirmed as a commentator at the Bilbao special event in Spain on the 30th of September, 1st of October, time to start talking some expanded stuff. We've talked a bit. Time to talk some more. It's Golisopod and it's Seismitoad. Now, I love Golisopod. I recently won a League Cup with Golisopod Garbodor. I'm in love with the deck, but I don't know if Golisopod Garbodor is the best deck anymore. Doesn't run as smoothly post-rotation. So now I'm looking at other decks and then expanded, why not Seismitoad? Now Golisopod here, really it's all about first impression. If you became active this turn, you do 120 damage, although if you evolve the active Wimpod, you don't. You've got to evolve on the bench and then come into the active. If you promote it after a KO so it starts to turn in the active, it doesn't count. You add a double colourless, you can then use Armour Press for 100 or Crossing Cut for 150 while you switch to the bench. Armour Press also reduces damage by 20 the following turn. And then in comes Seismitoad. We already want to be playing double colourless for Golisopod, so why not use a bit of that double colourless action on Seismitoad as well? For Quaking Punch, we're not playing Water Energy, we ain't using Grenade Hammer. 30 damage and your opponent cannot play item cards next turn. You just lock them out of item cards for the game. That sounds alright to me, to be perfectly honest. Now the damage output is a bit low, but we got options we'll talk about in a moment. But to be perfectly honest, this is quite nice. 30 damage and just stop your opponent playing items, and if they can't get set up, they can't win the game. As a fun side note, if you are using Golisopod, not only do you get a one-hit KO on opposing Seismitoads with Armour Press, but then a Quaking Punch would only do 10 damage. Although the fact you're one-hit KOing is probably a bigger deal. Now, in terms of other key cards, you really, as always, want to be using the Wimpod from Burning Shadows. Wimp Out is too good. You can retreat on turn 1, and you generally retreat into a Tapu Koko. Turn 1, you want to grab a Tapu Koko, retreat using the ability for Tapu Koko, and then on turn 2 you can get a Golisopod, and you can just pop in the active and use first impression. Or if you're going second, you can have a Wimpod in the active, then you get a Seismitoad, attach a double colourless, free retreat the Wimpod, and then you can get Quaking Punch turn 1. If you're going first, it really helps with a turn 2 first impression. If you're going second, it really helps with a turn 1 Quaking Punch. And even though this ability can only be used on the first turn of yours, it doesn't matter. It is ridiculously good. It's the only option. Now, because you're not playing Garbodor, in comes Octillery. Octillery is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Drawing until you got 5 cards in your hand, it's added consistency. It means you're not so hurt by a late game N. It means you're more likely to draw into that double colourless. And obviously, when you're going the Seismitoad route here, you really do need that double colourless. Octillery, ladies and gentlemen, has got your back. Now, I did talk about doing some extra damage. In comes Hypnotoxic Laser, Verbank City Gym. I mean, it's expanded. Most decks will play this. Laser, automatic poison. Flip a coin if heads they're asleep. And then Verbank City Gym means they take free damage counters from poison between turns. It's always been a bit dumb since it came out. It remains a bit dumb now. Because now you're doing 60 damage with Quaking Punch. And that's if they don't get out the active. 30 damage, 30 from poison. If they don't get out the active, another 30 from poison. And so on and so forth. It's always been good for Seismitoad. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. It is no longer just good for Seismitoad. Now it's good for Golisopod as well. So we look at first impression, we look at choice band. I mean, this deck plays choice band, they all do. You're now hitting 150. 150 is good. But with a Verbank City Gym Hypnotoxic Laser combo going on, you're now hitting 180. And that is enough to KO something like a Darkrai, something like a Drampa, something like a Volcanion. You're now getting one-hit KO options with Golisopod that you never had before. It's awesome. It really makes this deck a lot better. You need to be playing Ace Roller, because if you're not one-hit KO'd, it's just way too good for Golisopod. Pick up Golisopod. You can then put a new Golisopod active and hit for 120 with First Impression. But it's also great for Seismitoad, because if you're blocking items, it's quite hard to do that extra damage, no choice band, no laser, etc. Your opponent may not be able to one-hit KO Seismitoad. And this is even better, because let's say you've got a Tapu Koko on your bench, Ace a Roller to pick up the Seismitoad, put Koko in the active, bench Seismitoad, attach the double colourless energy, because remember, you don't discard them like you would with AZ, you keep it, and then you can just put Seismitoad straight back into the active with that double colourless, ready to just Quaking Punch again. Ace Roller is great with Golisopod, but it's great with Seismitoad as well. And here's the thing. There is so much weird synergy going on. Double colourless energy is great for both of them. Wimpod is so good for helping you get the turn 1 Quaking Punch. Acerola is so good for both of them, and in a weird kind of way, two Pokemon that look so different have things in common that mean you can play this deck where each part of the deck really helps. Seismitoad really wants Laser Burbank, but it helps you hit the key numbers with Golisopod as well. It really does work way better than you'd think it would. I was looking for partners for Golisopod in Expanded. When I came up with Seismitoad, I thought, am I getting a bit greedy? And then I looked, and Acerola, Hypnotoxic Laser, Verbank, Wimpod. There's just so double colourless energy. So many things that work beautifully with both the decks. Now, obviously, you need to play Guzma. Guzma's amazing, but you also get the switch that you need for First Impression. And maybe you play other switching cards. Maybe you play Switch. Maybe you play Escape Rope. I worry that you don't have the room here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're going to be able to find room in the deck. And you've got Versus Seeker for Ace Roller and Guzma. You've got Octillery to help you find the Versus Seeker. So as much as you could play Switch and Escape Rope, I'm not sure you need to. Plus, Garbodor's still going to be a thing in Expanded. So you don't want to play more items than you have to. Now, in terms of the Ace Spec here, I am torn. Now, my general rule with Ace Specs is simple. If you're relying on something like double colourless energy that's hard to search and you're only playing 4, you play Computer Search. Here, depending on the matchup, you're either going to want the turn 2 First Impression, or you're going to really want the turn 1 Quaking Punch. You need double colourless energy. You might need to search for an Ace Roller in the mid-game, etc. Computer Search seems like the obvious choice. The problem is, Golisopod needs to switch in. Seismitoad loves to heal and then go back in the active to Quaking Punch, like we talked about with Acerola, and that makes me think maybe you should use Scoop Up Cyclone. If I was playing this deck, I would probably still go Computer Search, but I want to be really clear about this. I think either Computer Search or Scoop Up Cyclone is a great option in this deck. And honestly, I think that's about where you should leave it. I think that's the best thing to do. I think you just rely on Golisopod and Seismitoad, and you just go for it. First Impression and Quaking Punch. You've got Laser Verbank, you've got your DCE, your Ace Roller, and you just roll with it. Now, there are other options here. You could play Zoroark. He attacks for a double colourless energy. He one-hit KOs Trevenant, who's big and expanded, and can just do some good damage if your opponent fills their bench. But I don't know if you'll have room. You could play Garbodor, turn off abilities in matchups where you need to, and take advantage of the items they're playing with Trash Avalanche, but I don't think you need to. Plus, if you play Trash Avalanche, you'll need Psychic Energy or Rainbow, and then it's getting a bit more awkward. You could play the non-GX Golisopod. I'm not 100% sure you need to, but you're already playing double colourless energy. You're already playing grass energy. 150 on an EX or a GX, 180 with a choice band, 210 with a Hypnotoxic Laser Verbank. Get a one-hit KO on an opposing Golisopod GX. I think this is worth testing if nothing else. It's one space in your deck. And the other thing which I would recommend is either playing a Karen, which just forces both players to shuffle all their Pokemon back, or play an Oricorio, which allows you to drop 1 damage counter for every Pokemon in your opponent's discard pile. And the reason is Night March. Night March is a pain. And yes, I know you can beat Night March with Seismitoad, and I know that if you get the Quaking Punch, you can win. But if you go second, then your opponent has had a turn to use items. If you go first, you can't attack and use Quaking Punch, so your opponent is having a turn to use items. Either way, your opponent gets a turn of items, and they can get set up regardless. So, I think something like Karanor or Ikorio, just to help against Night March, might be a good idea. I think this is a really good deck in Expanded. It's one of the ones, if I was playing in Bilbao rather than commentating, I would be considering Volcanion Turtonator. I'd be considering Tool Drop, on which I did a video yesterday, and I'd be considering this deck. I think this is a great deck in Expanded, certainly worth a test. But I want to know what you think. Chuck it down in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. That's where the live action happens, and Thursday, 7 PM, PTCGO. It's going to be fun, come join in. Yay! If you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods, etc., and you should, then make sure that you go and check out patreon.com/PTCGRadio. I'll be your friend. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.